PAVELLI modular lobed semi-trailer. Moving a yacht by road is a bit like trying to carry a whale on a haulaway cart. It can be done, but only when the equipment is made for something that big and oddly shaped. That is what makes this modular low semi-trail interesting. It is not a standard trailer with a simple flat platform. It is a specialized transport unit made for yachts. Instead of treating the boat like regular freight, it works around the structure of the yacht itself. One of the main things that stand out is how adjustable the trailer is. The chassis can be extended and widened. The double side beam frame also helps keep the center area open, so supports and cradles can be placed where they are actually needed. That matters with yacht transport because the load is not uniform and support has to match the lines of the vessel. The front section uses a detachable neck with adjustable height, which helps during loading and makes it easier to match the trailer to different tractors and support setups. The suspension setup plays a big role, too, especially in places like marinas, port roads, yards, and tight turns. Hydraulic steering with radio control gives the operator better control in confined spaces, and the suspension system helps manage load balance and travel heights while the yacht is in motion. 40 feet container self-loading trailer. A self-loading trailer is a dream for all people dealing with heavy loads. This one is basically a semi-trail that can lift and carry shipping containers on its own. You don't have to wait for a crane at port. It has hydraulic lifting units mounted on both ends of the trailer. It can carry standard 20 and 40 feet ISO containers. The lifting system uses a dual-circuit double pump setup. That power allows it to lift between 37 and 40 tons and in some cases up to 45 tons. The crane arms can reach out about 13 feet and the stabilizers extend close to 10 foot to support the trailer while it's lifting a container. It normally sits on 3 axles, each carrying about 13 tons. Suspension can be mechanical leaf spring or air ride depending on the setup. When it's time to lift a container, the side lifters lock into the container's corner using ISO twist locks. The container is lifted straight up from the ground and moved onto the trailer deck. The operator can slightly tilt or shift it sideways to line it up correctly. Once loaded, it drives down the highway like a regular semi-truck. ACM. Instead of relying on big cranes, the Gaussian ACM takes a more self-contained approach to moving containers. It is a self-propelled machine with a U-shaped frame and a hydraulic lifting system which allows it to pick up, move, and place containers as part of one process. Public technical information says it works with ISO 20 feet containers and can manage loads up to 25 tons or about 55,100 lb. What makes it interesting is that it is not simply pulling containers from one place to another. The hydraulic U-frame lets the machine engage the container directly, lift it and move it across a site without depending on extra equipment like cranes, bridge cranes, or gant rise. That can be very useful in places where space is limited or where traffic routes, safety zones, and building layouts make container movement more complicated. The ACM has also been used in more specialized environments, which says a lot about the kind of work it can do. Public reporting connected it to EDF's Shinhan nuclear power plant, showing that it was used in a setting where control, safety, and repeatable handling matter a great deal. Another point that gives the ACM some depth is that it does not seem to be a one-time concept. Gaussen said the machine delivered to Shin and replaced an earlier ACM supplied in 2001, and the company reported that 12 units were operating by March 2018. VERA. Imagine a truck that doesn't have a driver at all. That's what VERA is, a fully electric vehicle that moves on its own. Made by Volvo Trucks. It runs on the same type of electric motors and batteries that Volvo uses in its other electric trucks, which likely gives it between 200 and 400 kilowatts of power and a battery that stores around 100 to 300 kilowatts hours. It moves at speeds up to about 25 miles per hour, which is enough for the short routes it usually follows. Instead of a cab, the front of the truck is packed with sensors, cameras, radar, and LAR to understand its surroundings, and a computer system makes all the driving decisions. It also connects to a central control center so people can see where it is, check the battery, and keep track of what it's carrying. VERA doesn't need a human to sit in it. Its body is low to the ground with lights and sensors built into the structure. It hooks up to standard trailers so it can still carry regular cargo. This truck has already been used in real-life tests. For example, in Gothenburg, Sweden, several units moved containers between a logistics hub and a port, all coordinated from a central control tower. Terra. Volvo has taken seriously automation with these vehicles. Next one is called Terra, and it's basically a system that moves heavy stuff around automatically, mostly in places like mines. This truck uses the TOP15 electric hauler, which can carry about 15 tons of material. It runs on a big battery and an electric motor, and it drives itself using GPS, radar, LIR, and cameras. All these sensors help it figure out where it is, see obstacles, and stay on the path it's supposed to follow. The software that controls Terra is what makes everything work together. It plans the routes, keeps the haulers from running into each other or other obstacles, and helps the fleet work as a team. All the sensor data gets combined into a real-time picture of the area so the haulers know what's around them. There are charging stations for the trucks and a control center where someone can keep an eye on everything and step in if needed. There are also cybersecurity protections. Just imagine someone hacking it. When a site starts using Terra, they first map out the area, set up the haulers, and adjust the software to fit the specific conditions. After that, the trucks can run automatically, while people monitor them. TRECOL ARKTICA. Let's talk about this 8x8 all-terrain vehicle made for travel in places where normal trucks would have a hard time getting through. It uses a turbo diesel engine with 170 horsepower and 443 pounds-feet of torque. That kind of setup matters because this vehicle is not about speed. It is more about having enough pulling power to keep moving. Inside, the equipment is practical and focused on real field use. It comes with LED headlights, 2 searchlights, heated windshield elements, heated front seats, heated side mirrors, a monitor, Equipped head unit, liquid heaters for both the cab and passenger section, and an hour meter. What makes the ARKTICA interesting is how everything works together. The engine, tire system, drivetrain, and large insulated body all support the same goal, helping people and gear get across remote terrain in a wheeled vehicle that can carry a serious load. It uses a 5-speed manual transmission along with a 2-speed transfer case, so power can be managed better when the terrain gets difficult. The steering system is hydrostatic with power cylinders on the steerable axles, which helps control a machine this size. One of the most useful parts of the ARKTICA is its central tire inflation system. The driver can change tire pressure depending on the surface, which helps a lot when moving from softer ground to firmer areas. ATM Automotive Trailer Mover. Gaussian ATM is a yard tractor that moves trailers and semi-trailers around places like logistics centers and industrial sites. It is not meant for highway driving. Its job is to move heavy loads around private work areas where trailers need to be shifted or repositioned during daily operations. It uses a 4x2 driveline and 2 traction motors with a top speed of about 15.5 miles per hour. The payload is about 41.9 tons. There are 2 power versions. The battery electric model uses 2 swappable 55 kWh battery packs. The hydrogen version uses a 15 kilowatts fuel cell, an 11 pounds hydrogen tank, and an extra 20 kWh battery. Both versions use the same modular electric platform. This model also fits into a bigger picture. Gaussian connects the ATM38T with automated yard operations in gated logistics environments. Bergman Dumper C815S. Some machines do the quiet, heavy lifting while everything else on site gets the attention, and this is one of them. The Bergman C815S is the kind of dumper that comes in, carries a serious amount of material, tips it where it needs to go, and heads back for more without making a big show of it. It is a large articulated site dumper made for moving things like soil, aggregate, spoil, demolition debris, and other construction material. What makes it stand out is the way it combines carrying capacity with maneuverability. Instead of acting like a regular truck, it bends through the middle, which helps it move through tighter spaces and work areas where turning room can be limited. It also comes in 3 different body types, so the unloading style can match the job. The rear tip version works well when material only needs to be discharged behind the machine. The 3-way tip version adds the option of placing material to either side, which can help when working along trenches or narrow access routes. It uses a 4-cylinder, water-cooled Cummins diesel engine. Top speed is about 25 miles per hour and the hydraulic articulated steering allows 37 degrees of movement to each side. The chassis uses a leaf-sprung front axle and a rigid rear axle. A self-locking differential with a 45% locking value helps when extra grip is needed. ESKES cleaning. When a big festival event ends, there is often a lot left behind on the ground. That is the kind of work ESI's cleaning seems to focus on. It appears to concentrate on cleaning large outdoor event spaces such as festival fields and campsites. One of the most interesting Parts of its work is the festival magnet. This is a magnetic cleanup machine used to pick up metal objects. That can include things like screws, tent stakes, coins, and small metal pieces. The machine uses magnets placed inside steel containers with wheels so it can move across the field while staying close to the surface. The unloading system also is practical. A lever lifts the magnetic part and the collected metal drops away from the bottom plates of the bins. ES cleaning is also connected with other cleanup machines. The company mentions a large vacuum machine called Herman's and a Wigon Tech MC3 event cleaner, which is a self-propelled tricycle vacuum for event grounds. JAYLOR TMR5120HD. What stands out first about the JAYLOR TMR is its sheer size and mixing volume. This is a twin or GA vertical feed mixer used in large dairy and beef operations, where a lot of feed needs to be prepared in one load. It has a standard capacity of 1,125 cub feet and with side extensions that grows to 1,295 cub feet depending on the extension height. The machine weighs about 23,100 lb and measures 318 in long. Some of the main details help explain how it works. In day-to-day feeding, it uses 3/4 in Origa flighting, a square cut or design, and a welded mixing chamber. Current literature also mentions slide plate technology and tungsten carbide coated knives, which help the machine stay effective when working through dense or high fiber feed. It rides on a tandem walking beam with dual tires, has a maximum discharge height of 68 in, and uses a 36 in conveyor. In simple terms, this mixer takes large amounts of forage, grain, silage, and supplements and blends them into a more even ration. The twin vertical oars move the material upward and inward, folding everything together inside the chamber. The knives help break down longer forage so it mixes better with the rest of the load. That matters because a more consistent mix can help reduce sorting and keep the ration more uniform from start to finish. ABTP 470 VARIO. This is the kind of machine that looks like it would rather climb a mountain than sit still in a parking spot. It comes across as the sort of transporter that takes hard jobs very seriously. What makes it interesting is that it is not really about speed or flashy extras. It is more about control and the ability to keep moving when the work gets demanding. That is why it fits so well into farm work and municipal jobs where conditions can change a lot through the year. It sounds like a machine that is happiest when it has something heavy to move and a difficult route ahead. The way it works is pretty technical, but the idea behind it is simple. The engine focuses on strong pulling power at lower RPM, which helps when carrying loads. Instead of shifting through fixed gears, the VARIO transmission changes speed continuously, so the driver has more control over how the machine moves. A little further into the details, the machine uses a 136 horsepower 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine. The chassis and suspension also play a big role in how this transporter feels in use. With hydropneumatic suspension on both axles, hydraulic rotation damping, and an longitudinal differential lock, it is set up to improve traction and stability. TERRAMAC RT14R. This machine is made to move heavy material through places where regular wheeled trucks can have a hard time working. It can carry up to 28,000 pounds or 14 tons. And one of its most useful parts is the 360-degree re-rotating upper frame. That means it can dump material in almost any direction without needing to move the tracks first. It uses a Cummins Tier 4 final diesel engine with 320 horsepower. It also uses an HST hydrostatic transmission with 2 travel speeds, reaching 3.6 miles per hour in first gear and 6.88 mph in second gear. The hydraulic system is a big part of how this carrier does its job. It has dual drive pumps and maximum dry pump pressure of 6,90 lb per square inch. In simpler terms, this gives the machine the power it needs for dumping and other job-specific attachments. It is a large machine measuring 20 feet long, 10 feet 11 in height, and 9 feet 8 in wide over the track's ground clearance is 24 inches. Operating weight with bed is 43,000 pounds. It also has a 58% gradability figure equal to 30 degrees along with a 0 turn radius. For more, the machine uses standard ISO joystick controls with integrated dump controls. And it can be set up with different options such as a dump bed, rock bed, flat bed, spray, boom, rotating upper structure, or dust control system depending on the kind of work being done. DUTCHMAN 100-inch truck spade. Moving a grown tree is a bit like relocating a small piece of the landscape and asking it not to complain about the trim. That is the kind of job this truck mounted is made to do. It is the largest model in DUTCHMAN Industries lineup, so it sits on the bigger end of professional tree moving equipment. Instead of being something for small transplanting work, it is meant for larger trees that need a serious machine behind them. DUTCHMAN says it can take on trees with trunks up to about 12 in thick, which puts it in the range of landscape stock. What makes it interesting is the way it works. The curved blades go down around the tree, cut into the soil, and lift out a large root ball so more of the root system stays together during the move. That matters because when a tree is transplanted, keeping massive soil around the roots can help the tree adjust better in its new location. The machine also includes a circular frame which gives more room around trees with low and wide branches. DUTCHMAN also points to several structural details that shape how the machine operates. The blades are cold formed and the company connects that with longer blade life. The numbers help show how substantial this is. The root ball measures 100 in across and 61 in deep while working height is 116 inches. Weight is another big part of the picture. The spade itself is about 11,100 pounds. The load and neck adds around 700 pounds. The root ball can reach about 13,500 pounds and total weight is about 25,300 lb. FAYMONVILLR HIGHWAYMAX. To be honest, moving huge equipment down a public road through city traffic is really hard. That is where something like the FAYMONVILLR HIGHWAYMAX range starts to make sense. Instead of being one single trailer, it is a group of heavy haul trailers made for large and overweight cargo in the US and Canada. The HIGHWAYMAX 1 is the entry point in the family, and it already comes across as a very serious piece of equipment. It uses pendula axles with a long hydraulic stroke along with kingpin steering and countersteer axles, which helps it turn more effectively. It also has remote steering override, a compensating gooseneck with fifth wheel load adjustment, liftable axles, hydraulic axle compensation. The stretch deck reaches 89 feet axle. Group spacing can be adjusted up to 22 feet 6 inches. In terms of carrying ability, it has a legal payload of more than 174,000 pounds. The HIGHWAYMAX 2 takes that setup further by adding a 3-axle pinion nitro booster that changes it into a 12-axle single drop trailer and pushes legal payload close to 205,000 lb. It also includes a reinforced spine, a self-tracking pivot booster with an extra steering cylinder, kingpin steering on the main trailer, and separate power packs on both the trailer and booster. The HIGHWAYMAX 3 is the heavier standard version using 9 hydraulically steered pendle axles together with a 3-axle Jeep dolly and a 3-axle nitro booster. With the truck included, the full setup becomes a 19-axle combination with a legal payload of about 240,000. MULTIMAX Plus. This trailer keeps things practical by focusing on low loading height. At the front, the hydraulic lifting platform makes it possible to load equipment closer to the gooseneck, which helps when carrying machines. That front section can support up to 9.9 tons in lifting equipment use. The gooseneck uses FAYMONVILLR's outer beam neck setup, which has a bolted outer beam structure. This gives different options for shape, length, and turning space, so fleets can match the trailer more closely to the tractor unit and the type of machine being moved. Technical fifth wheel loads range from 13 to 33 tons. There is also a choice of versions with or without a rear chamfer. At the back, the trailer can be fitted with single or double hydraulic ramps. The newer flip tail section adds 9.8 feet of loading space when used flat, and when folded up, it shortens the vehicle by 7.9 feet. It can carry up to 11 tons. Works with a 9 degrees drive-on angle, and its hydraulic functions can be controlled remotely. What stands out here is how the trailer makes loading more efficient, without turning into something overly complicated. It keeps weight down while still offering strong point load capability, which helps leave more room for payload. Komatsu HD 785-8 KOMATSU can carry 101.6 tons at a time. A typical elephant weighs about 4 to 7 tons. So, it can carry the equivalent of 14 to 28 elephants. Its V-shaped body is made from strong steel, and the twin telescopic cylinders lift the load up to 33 feet in 11 seconds. This setup helps get material moved quickly and keeps each load cycle fast. The frame is an articulated box section that can hold heavy loads over and over. The front suspension uses a McPherson strut independent system with about a foot of travel, and the rear has a 4-link setup with Hydra pneumatic cylinders giving 5 in of travel. Brakes are fully hydraulic with multiple discs and work on all wheels, also acting as a retarder when going downhill. The cab is comfortable and safe. It has a 360 degrees camera display, automatic climate control, and a heated and ventilated air suspension seat. The steering wheel, tilts and telescopes. Hoist controls are electric, and a 7-in monitor lets the operator choose different modes. The truck holds about 349 gallons of fuel, and the hydraulic and coolant tanks are sized for long operations. Here, LIEBHERR 282C. We have another massive truck about 51 feet long, 31 feet wide, and 27 feet tall too. The canopy with the wheelbase close to 24 feet. Fortunately, the cab is comfortable for the operator with air ride seats, heating and cooling, and a 12-in color screen that shows information like the truck's load and overall performance. Plus, there is a diagnostic system that keeps track of how the truck is doing and can detect any issues quickly. When it's empty, it weighs 261 tons, but fully loaded, it hits around 660 tons. It runs on very powerful diesel engines which can produce up to 3,650 horsepower. This truck came out in 2010 as the follow-up to the T282B. It was made to carry huge amounts efficiently while keeping fuel use and time per trip under control. Electric drive helped it manage power better than older models, giving more reliable performance for long shifts. Even though newer trucks like the T284 have come along, many T282Cs are still working in lines all over the world. Anti-LIFTEC TRANSLIFTER. Latest data show US trucks moved about 11 billion tons of cargo in a year, averaging roughly 30 million tons per day carried by trucks alone. With that much freight on the move, not every load is routine. Moving extremely heavy cargo around the port isn't as simple as hooking up a regular trailer. That's where the anti-group translifter comes in to make it easier. It's a heavy load transport trailer that works together with a cassette system to move large and heavy items across terminals, steel plants, and concrete factories. Depending on the setup, it can carry anywhere from about 66,000 to more than 440,000 pounds. Plus, it can carry cassettes between 25 and 45 feet long. Instead of using a crane, the translifter backs up so its lifting frame slides under a flat platform called a cassette. The cassette already holds the cargo. Once everything lines up, hydraulic system raises the cassette off the ground. From there, a terminal tractor tows the translifter and its load to the next location. When it arrives, the hydraulics lowers the cassette back down and the trailer pulls away. The translifter itself doesn't move on its own, but it carries its own hydraulic and steering systems. Industrial translifter LTH484, 13,600. When a job involves moving something that weighs 60 to 200 tons, normal equipment simply is not enough. But industrial translifter is made for this job. It is a large horizontal transport machine used in heavy industrial environments where massive loads need to be shifted from one point to another. The machine is typically between 25 and 45 feet long with a frame made from steel beams and heavy-duty bow guides. It uses either a hydraulic or mechanical lifting system to raise a platform called the cassette slightly off the ground. What makes it different from a crane or forklift is the way it picks up loads. Instead of lifting cargo directly, it slides underneath a cassette that is already holding the material. Once it is lined up, the machine lifts the cassette just enough to clear the ground and then drives it to the next location. You will often see this type of machine in steel plants moving slabs and coils, at port terminals shifting oversized freight, or in precast concrete yards, carrying beams across the facility. Harsh KRAKER trailer roll and go. Industries including agriculture, construction, and waste management find the roll and go useful, especially if they don't want to spread sand like in Spider-Man movie. Its modular assembly, multiple drive options, and full width coverage make it a practical solution for vehicles carrying materials that needs weatherproofing. The roll and go system from Harsh has a PVC vinyl tarpaulin that provides complete coverage against water and heat. It operates across trailer widths up to 49 feet and supports multiple drive options. Manual operation using a ground level winding handle and solar assisted units. The system can be controlled from the ground or the cab, reducing the need for climbing onto the vehicle. The system fits tipping trailers, walking floor trailers, and similar open-top vehicles. Green steel. Steel is one of the biggest sources of carbon emissions in the world, but there's a new type that changes that. It's called green steel. Interesting, right? First time I've heard of it. Anyways, instead of using coal to turn iron ore into steel, it uses hydrogen. When the hydrogen reacts with the iron, it just produces water instead of carbon dioxide. The hydrogen itself comes from electricity made by renewable energy. The best part is that the steel behaves just like regular steel. You can cut it, weld it, and shape it the same way. Volvo Group has been trying this out with a Swedish steel company. Back in October 2021, they showed the first heavy machine made with this fossil-free steel. It's a load carrier used in construction and mining, and it was put together at Volvo's facility in Sweden. Most of the steel in the machine, especially the frame and other big structural parts, was fossil-free. Some smaller, more complicated parts still used regular steel, but the main pieces were all green steel. Hitachi rigid dump truck. Hitachi makes some of the biggest trucks used in mining, and they're really impressive machines. These monster trucks use a diesel engine to generate electricity, which then powers motors on the wheels. That means fewer moving parts to wear out, and the trucks can handle heavy loads more reliably. There are a few different models. They mainly differ in how much they can carry and their size. The smallest of the three can carry about 181 tons, the middle one around 221 tons, and the largest nearly 296 tons. They move at speeds up to 35 miles per hour, and their cargo boxes can hold from about 105 all the way up to 264 cubic yards. The F3500 works well for medium-sized mining jobs. Meanwhile, the F4000 is larger and handles heavier work. It has options for big tires, cameras to see around the truck, and steps that make it easier to reach key parts for service. DOSTA sub. Now, in this part of the video, we will talk about some garbage trucks. For instance, the DOSTA sub is a large waste container that can hold about 2,500 L, and it works with the automated side. Loading garbage trucks you often see in cities. It has special connection points like diamond and cam profiles, so the truck arms can pick it up and move it without anyone having to lift it. Because of the way it's made, the same container can sit above ground or be combined with the subwave system, which is partly underground while still using the same pickup points for the trucks. Because the container is so big, trucks don't need to stop as often, which saves time during collection. That's especially useful in urban areas. There are even larger versions that can be paired with the subwave underground chambers, so cities can store more waste without needing a completely different type of container. One of the interesting things about this system is how flexible it is. The sub can sit on the street on its own, or it can work with the subwave system, which lets part of the container sit underground. Schneider Umweltservice AG. Front loader containers or FUBs are large steel bins that companies use to manage waste. They come in several sizes from about 88 cub-feet to 265 cubic feet. The truck itself sits on a heavy commercial chassis from brands like Mercedes-Benz, MAN, or Volvo. The front of the truck has hydraulic arms that pick up a container, lift it above the cab, tilt it, and dump the contents into the hopper. Once the waste is in the hopper, hydraulic systems press it down to fit more material. When the truck is full, it drives to recycling centers. At these locations, a hydraulic tailgate and compaction plate release the waste. These trucks are often used around central Switzerland to collect plastics, cardboard, and other solid waste from businesses. It's a practical solution for places that have more waste than a small bin, but less than what would need a massive container. ATM side loader. Ever notice how picking up trash can feel like playing a game of Tetris, but outside, in traffic, and with really heavy blocks? That's kind of what the ATM does, only it makes the whole process a lot simpler. Instead of a crew running around lifting bins, the driver can stay inside while the truck does most of the work. The arm reaches out, grabs the bin, empties it, and puts it back all in one automated motion. There's even a camera inside so the driver can see everything clearly. The compactor on this truck works a bit differently than you might expect. It swings like a pendulum instead of pushing straight down, which squeezes the trash tightly without needing a bunch of moving parts that could wear out. This means the truck can carry more waste per trip and doesn't use as much fuel. The hydraulics have a heater and auto lubrication, so it keeps working even when it's cold. And there's optional equipment to measure how heavy the collected trash is. For the numbers nerds, the truck can hold between 14 and 24 cub-m of waste, and the body weighs around 10,000 to 12,000 pounds depending on the setup. The bin lifting arm can reach almost 8 feet out and handle bins up to about 660 pounds. It works with bin sizes from 32 to 175 G, and the compactor applies around 22 tons of force. Rosenbauer E5000. When something goes wrong with an aircraft, crews need a safe way to get inside fast and help people get out. That is where the Rosenbauer E5000 comes in. It is a specialized airport rescue vehicle that gives emergency teams direct access to the cabin and also provides passengers with another way to leave the aircraft. It can reach door heights from about 8.22 to 18 feet, which means it works with many common aircraft types. Rosenbauer says that it covers around 92% of standard aircraft doors. One helpful part of the design is the low platform edge above the driver's cab, which helps the stairs line up with doors on short and medium range aircraft. The E5000 is also made to keep operations simple. One person can control it through Rosenbauer's control system. The operator selects the aircraft type and door height. Then the stair unit moves into place after a safety check and can be adjusted more precisely from there. It also includes a hydraulic jack system with automatic level compensation and regulation, so it can be set up properly even when the surface is not perfectly level. The staircase is about 4.9 feet wide and the steps stay horizontal through a mechanical leveling system. Lighting is added along the stairway, which helps during the night. ECOL Exact GB4500. Some machines arrive like quiet specialists rather than attention seekers. And this one fits that idea well. Instead of trying to impress through size alone, it stands out through the kind of work it is meant to carry out. From a neutral technical perspective, it appears to be a custom truck-mounted excavator created for ditch cleaning, shoulder maintenance, and slope trimming. What makes it interesting is the way it combines road travel with excavation work in one machine. Rather than relying on a separate hauling setup between locations, it can move from site to site under its own power, which suits maintenance operations spread across multiple roadside areas. It also appears to be a specialized conversion rather than a standard production excavator. Available information connects it with Ecoli Hardstyle, a company known for custom construction work on heavy equipment. That context suggests the machine was developed around a specific maintenance role instead of following the pattern of a general-purpose excavator. It is also presented as a machine that can work in narrow roadside zones such as areas near guardrails, medians, and overgrown embankments. The machine's role centers on drainage ditch creation and upkeep, roadside grading, shoulder rebuilding, and verge clearing. In those applications, the rotating upper structure and hydraulic system allow attachments to be positioned with precision during work. PAVELLI semi-trailer. Looking at the PAVELLI semi-trail range, it becomes clear that this is not one single trailer with one fixed setup. It is a group of semi-trailers that can be arranged in different ways depending on the kind of cargo being moved. The range includes curtain-sider, low-bed, flatbed, vehicle transport, and special transport versions. So, it covers a wide variety of transport jobs. A PAVELLI semi-trail can come with either a straight frame or a gooseneck frame. That choice changes things like deck height and how the trailer moves with the tractor. The company also offers different fifth wheel heights. Axle options include BPW or SAF units with capacities of up to about 13.2 tons per axle, which places these trailers in the heavy transport category. There are also several suspension choices. These include pneumatic suspension, hydraulic panogram raft suspension, and hydraulic suspension with knee movement. In simple terms, this gives the trailer more flexibility when loading machinery or large industrial equipment. Lift axles can also be added, which can help with tire wear and make the trailer easier to move when it is carrying less weight. When it comes to loading equipment, PAVELLI offers a long list of options. These can include manual or hydraulic, rear ramps, ramp widening or narrowing systems, movable hydraulic platforms, anchor rings, hooks, aluminum side containment and lowering inserts. The hydraulic system can run from an electric pump or from the tractor's PTO. Some versions can also be fitted with electric or hydraulic winches of up to about 16.5 tons, often with radio remote control. MDTU-20. This detachable towing unit offers solid capability for medium to heavy duty recovery work. It has a 20-ton boom capacity, a 20-ton tow capacity, and a maximum boom lift angle of 43 degrees. The 3-stage underlift can lift 22,000 pounds. Standard equipment includes dual steel toolboxes, 1 set of fork adapters, 4 sets of frame forks, and safety and tie-down chains. There is also a long list of available options such as wireless remote control, extra frame forks, single and dual tire wheel lift receivers, a full recovery tool package, custom storage systems, extendable rear jack legs, in-cab controls, air and electrical outputs at the tailboard. In simple terms, this unit lets a suitable truck work as a tow and recovery vehicle without staying in that role all the time. It can be attached when towing work comes up and removed when the truck is needed for something else. That makes it a practical choice for fleets that want towing ability while still keeping the truck available for other jobs. From a technical point of view, the unit combines strong lifting power, useful underlift reach, and good towing geometry for moving disabled commercial vehicles. The worm gear hydraulic winch adds controlled pulling power during recovery work. Another important point is that this is a modular system, so the exact setup can vary depending on the production year or the customer order. Bergman dumper C912S. Next one is a large track dumper made to move a lot of material in places where normal wheeled machines can struggle. It uses a 6-cylinder water-cooled diesel engine with 241 horsepower. It meets stage 5 emission standards. It has 2 speed ranges, 0 to 5 miles per hour in speed 1 and 0 to 9.3 miles per hour in speed 2. What really matters with a machine like this is how it works on soft and wet, steep ground. Since it runs on tracks instead of wheels, the machine spreads its weight over a larger area. That helps lower ground pressure and gives it more grip where a wheeled dumper might start slipping. The low center of gravity also helps it stay more stable while dumping material. There are 2 body versions. The rear tip model weighs 31,000 pounds and carries up to 22,000 pounds. It measures 19 feet long, 9.5 feet wide, and 11 feet high. The swivel tip version is a little heavier at 32,700 lb, but it keeps the same payload and body capacity. The rear tip version makes sense for simple haul and dump work, The swivel tip version is more useful when material needs to be placed more carefully, especially when there is not much room around the dump area. SMITHCO'S CP30. A high-capacity trailer with a 30-ton payload. When fitted with the optional bolt-on extension, EEP volume increases to 49 cubic yards. Published dimensions include a 30 feet 9 in frame length, a 21 feet tub length. The hinge assembly uses self-aligning spherical bearings, and includes grease. Points for service. The standard hitch uses a 2-in drawbar pin, while scraper type adapters are available. This off-road trailer is used in construction, site preparation, and agriculture where high-volume material movement is needed. Its side dump layout allows unloading to either side, which helps when site conditions limit the usefulness of rear dumping. It also supports windrowing and controlled stockpiling, giving operators more precision in where material is placed. A hydraulic front hitch with a stronger shaft and a linear shock absorber contributes to ride quality, and suspension revisions help reduce movement after crossing difficult terrain. AGV, full elec, PSA. Next vehicle came from a joint development effort between Gaussian and PSA, and it was introduced in 2017 as part of Singapore's push toward cleaner and more automated port operations. What stands out most is the mix of self-driving capability, electric power, zero local emissions, and fast charging. It can carry about 71 tons and travel at around 15 miles per hour. Its job is to move shipping containers between storage areas inside the port. In PSA Singapore setup, it also uses an ultra-fast charging system made for the demanding conditions of a marine terminal. The charging system is enclosed, waterproof, and uses automatic connection and disconnection, which helps reduce service needs. Reports from PSA's case study say the vehicle can work for about 4 to 5 hours after less than 20 minutes of charging. The system also allows quick battery pack changes during maintenance, which helps keep the vehicles in service longer. It is not something made only to attract attention at an event. It was meant to do real work inside PSA Singapore's Tours Megaport project. Since ports like this rely on constant movement and careful timing, a driverless electric vehicle like this fits well into that kind of setup. Bergman Dumper C901A. This is a small battery electric track dumper made by Bergman Maschinenbau in Germany, and it is the sort of equipment that makes sense the moment you see where it is supposed to work. It is made for moving material in places where space is limited, like gardens, nurseries, parks, and smaller construction areas. What stands out right away is that it works quietly and produces no emissions. Another thing that gives it a lot of character is the tracked undercarriage. Instead of wheels, it moves on tracks, which helps it travel across difficult surfaces. Its narrow shape also helps in courtyards, along walkways, and in other areas where a larger machine would feel harder to move around. There are 3 versions, and each one does the same basic job in a slightly different way. The front tipper is the simplest version and is meant for carrying material like soil, gravel, sand, green waste. The high tipper adds more dump height, which is useful when material needs to be emptied over a higher edge. The self-loader adds a loading unit so it can pick up, carry, and unload material in one cycle. All three versions use a 12 cubic foot skip and weigh about 1,12 lb. The front tipper and self-loader can carry about 1,764 lb while the high tipper can carry about 1,543 pounds. SX6 haul more in a single trailer with a standard CDL, declares the company. And this trailer is all about moving a lot of material in one trip. It has a 6-axle setup, a 53 feet frame, and a 40 feet tub. So, it is clearly made to carry serious volume. The body is 102 in wide with a height of 8 feet 7 inches in at the tub side, and 9 feet 7 in at the center. Its axle setup combines 3 fixed 25,000 pounds axles with 3 13,200 pounds ride-well air-ride steerable lift axles. Air-ride suspension comes standard. For dumping, it uses 3,500 SI cylinders, with 6 in balls mounted at both ends of the tub instead of the middle. That setup allows the tub position on the frame to be adjusted to help with axle balance and legal payload distribution. The tub has a one-piece floor, rounded corners, and external column supports. It also has no center divider, which helps material move out with less hang-up when unloading. What stands out most is that it can haul up to 37.4 tons in one trailer. It can dump to either side and it can also stockpile or windrow material. ZF OptiRide ECAS. Here we have an electronic air suspension system used on commercial vehicles such as trucks, trailers, buses, and some other work vehicles that use air suspension. It runs on a 24V system and works with parts like an electronic control unit, height sensors, solenoid valve blocks, air lines, air springs, wiring, driver controls, and diagnostic tools. Depending on the vehicle, it can be set up for 1 axle, 2 axles, or more. In some cases, it can also connect with other vehicle systems through a CAN network. It can control ride height automatically, raise or lower the vehicle when needed, store selected height positions, adjust height based on speed, returns to normal driving height, and help technicians find faults during service. In simple terms, this system helps the vehicle stay at the right height when the load changes, instead of relying only on mechanical parts. It uses sensors and electronic controls to check how high or low the chassis is sitting. The control unit reads that information and tells the air suspension when to add air or let air out. That way, the vehicle can return to the height it is supposed to have. When more cargo is added, the chassis drops lower, so the system puts more air into the suspension to bring it back up. Laterally offset. Some loads are like trying to fit a giant puzzle piece onto a trailer. Don't worry, we have the perfect equipment for that load. Instead of being a standard low bed with everything centered in a familiar way, this version is more about adjusting the trailer to the shape of the cargo. The phrase laterally offset with inclined frame structure sounds complicated, but the basic idea is not too hard to follow. It means the loading deck is shifted a bit to one side instead of sitting perfectly in the middle, and the frame is arranged at an angle that angled frame also helps the load sit lower on one side or match the shape of the freight more closely. For very tall or awkward industrial parts, that can make a real difference because even a small drop in loading height can matter on the road. It is the kind of setup that makes more sense for special transport work than for general hauling. This is why it fits loads like industrial machinery, rail vehicles, wind turbine tower sections, construction equipment, and vessels. As for the technical side, the MODULAR uses a removable gooseneck, a low-bed deck, and a bogie with 1 to 5 axles. It can also be paired with an optional 1 or 2 axle dolly when better weight distribution is needed. Metro Tow Trucks Int-35. Metro Trucks Int-35 is a heavy wrecker made for serious towing with a 35 ton boom capacity, dual 44,000 pounds winches, and a 162 in cap to center of tandem steel body. It has the kind of setup operators look for when they need strong lifting and pulling power on a regular basis. It comes with standard gear like frame fork holders, frame fork racks, chain racks, 4 sets of frame forks, manual controls on both sides, and safety chains. So, it arrives with the main equipment needed for daily work. Its boom is one of the main highlights. It can lift 77,000 lb when retracted and 33,000 pounds when extended. The maximum lift angle is 45 degrees and it reaches a hook height of 267.7 in with 89 in of reach past the tailboard. The underlift also brings strong towing capability. It can manage 35,274 lb in the retracted position at 83.9 in and 17,637 lb in the extended position at 148 inches. On top of that, the tire lift setup provides 24,912 pounds total, while the fifth wheel adapter adds more flexibility for certain towing jobs. In simple terms, the Int-35 fits into that middle space between lighter integrated wreckers and much larger rotators. It gives fleets a strong option for truck tows, highway recoveries, and heavier roadside calls. Without stepping into the biggest category, Lion 8. Lions are the only truly social big cats living in prides. Males defend territory, females hunt cooperatively, and their powerful roars can be heard up to 8 kilometers away. Anyways, the Lion 8 is an electric truck that can hold up to 60,000. Like a lion in its pride, it has a cab-forward design, making it easier to see around the truck and maneuver through city streets. The battery can store up to 336 kilowatts-hours of energy, which gives it a range of about 170 miles on a full charge. Enough for a day of typical urban refuge routes. If it needs a quick boost, it can use level 3 DC fast charging to get a lot of power in 2 hours. Each cab truck can reach speeds up to 61 miles per hour. Every function from lifting bins to compacting waste is powered by electric motors. The side or rear loaders can lift bins of 120 to 360 L carrying up to 750 pounds. The compaction system uses an electric screw to compress waste, and The pack-through eject panel allows the truck to empty material without tilting the body. Half/PACL lowrider. Basically, the lowrider is all about making it easier to get through city streets and carry more at a time. It is a front-load garbage truck and it comes in 3 sizes: 20, 23, and 28 cub. Y. Its hopper holds 10 cub Y and the total capacity can reach up to 38 cub Y, depending on the model. The hopper opening is 83x95 in and it can push about 117,000 pounds when compacting trash. What's different about the lowrider is that it sits about a foot lower than a standard front loader. That makes it easier to get under trees. It's also lighter by 4,150. The front of the body is fully enclosed from the bottom of the hopper, keeping chassis parts from getting messy. The hydraulics is moved to the side of the body, which keeps them away from engine heat and makes them easier to service. Controls are done through the Odyssey system and a 7-in display. SC30 straddle carrier. Now, let's check the most interesting looking machine that I have ever seen. It is made to move heavy and awkward. Industrial loads up to 71,650 pounds and lift things about 63 in off the ground. It moves slow at around 12 to 14 miles per hour when it's carrying a load and can go a little faster, about 15 miles per hour when it's empty. The space where the cargo sits is about 79 in wide and 110 in high. Power comes from 2 diesel engines, each giving 154 horsepower. It uses a hydrostatic transmission to send power to the rear wheels, which helps it move smoothly even with a full load. What makes it special is how it carries the load. Instead of holding things on forks, it straddles the material, keeping it between the legs of the machine. That helps it stay balanced and makes it easier to drive with heavy and oddly shaped items. Or more, the frame can be adjusted for different widths or heights, which makes it work well in steel mills, fabrication shops, and scrap yards. It can even hold hot loads, move in tight spaces, and keep running for long periods without stopping. Autonomous truck hub-to-hub transportations. VNL autonomous truck is part of a system that can drive itself between major hubs in the United States. It uses advanced technology from Aurora to handle highway driving. The truck has backup systems for things like steering, brakes, power, and communications. So if one part stops working, the truck can keep going safely. It also has sensors along with powerful computers which have been trained on millions of miles of real and simulated driving. On long stretches of highway, the truck drives on its own, but humans still take over when it comes to picking up or dropping off things. The software guides the truck's motion and makes sure it follows the route correctly. The truck is part of a bigger system that includes terminals and digital platforms. The terminals are spots where trucks start and end their autonomous runs. Everything is connected through a digital network that keeps track of trucks, terminals, and schedules. International HX Series. International Motors is a US-based manufacturer of commercial trucks, buses, and diesel engines. Formerly known as Navistar International, the company rebranded in 2021 and it operates as part of the Triton Group and produces the well-known international brand of heavy-duty and Medium-duty trucks. The HX series is a group of big trucks made for really tough jobs. There are two main models, the HX 520 and HX 620, and each one has a slightly different setup depending on what it needs to do. The HX 520 has a 120 in cab length with the front axle set forward, and it can carry weights from about 52,000 up to 91,800 lb. It's the kind of truck you'd see hauling heavy loads, moving dirt, or carrying concrete. The HX 620 on the other hand has a slightly shorter cab, and it can carry between 53,200 and 92,800